Hi, today I have a bit of a spicy little sequence here, all for your feet, ankle, and calves. So if you're ready to get started with me, you might want to grab a pair of yoga blocks or even a yoga blanket just to get started. Let's go, join me on the mat. To begin today, we'll just start in a narrow-legged child's pose. And if you'd like, you might want to have either a rolled up towel or a nicely folded blanket to place underneath the ankles to begin. We'll just start with a gentle way of opening up the ankles and the lower body. Have that towel or blanket underneath the lower part of the leg, and you might find that this also assists with some cramping if you have any issues while you're in maybe hero pose or child's pose for a longer length of time. Having a folded up blanket or a towel can help assist with any kind of toe cramping or cramping you have on the bottom of the foot. So let's get started. Again, make it a narrow leg child's pose. We'll start to fold the body over the top of the legs, extend the arms out long. Starting with a few breaths here just to relax the lower body. And again, we're keeping it in a narrow-legged child's pose just to focus that weight more onto the calves, onto the lower body. No worries if your glutes do not reach your heels. We're just going to start with a few breaths just to ground down. Feel yourself relaxing into the lower back, into the outside of the hips. Allow yourself to release. And slowly start to walk the hands back in towards the body as we start to sit back onto the heels in our hero pose. From here, you can go ahead and keep that blanket or towel underneath the ankles if it is comfortable for you. I'm going to remove mine for the sequence, but we're going to take some movement in our hero pose. Staying seated on the heels. Holding a pose like this for long can be quite distracting, so I find it to be quite nice to do some movement with the upper body to give ourselves a more pleasant distraction from what we're feeling into the ankles and the tops of the feet. So as you're here in your hero pose, let's take a twist. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Take the right hand behind you and just gaze behind that right shoulder. Inhale, return to center. Exhale, right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand behind you as you gaze towards the back of the room. Inhale, back to front. Once more each side. Looking over the right shoulder. Come back through center and we'll twist back onto the left side. And then once more back to center. From our hero pose, let's go ahead and take the hands behind us, interlace the fingers, and then draw the knuckles down towards the mat, towards the earth. Maybe you even touch the mat with your knuckles. If you find that as a stopping point for you, don't let that stop the nice heart opening that you get. Just think about lifting the sternum, lifting the chest even higher up towards the ceiling, maybe allowing the head to drop back and opening up through the throat. Breathing here. Very good. Let's go ahead and release the clasp of the hands. And we're going to take a little bit deeper stretch onto the tops of the toes. You may want to separate the feet just slightly, maybe have an inch or so in between the knees. From here, taking the hands behind you, either onto the mat or onto some blocks, we're going to rock back, so that we're balancing on the tops of the feet and the knees rise into the air. They don't need to come very far. Again, you can keep your hands on the mat, use that for balance. But if you want to really challenge your balance today, you can start to lift the hands up off of the mat, maybe bring them to heart center, or you can also have the hands resting on the top of the knees. We're holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the hands to the mat. Softly lower the knees towards the earth. Let's shift forward into a tabletop position, taking that weight off of the tops of the feet, and then maybe just give them a little tap down into the mat. Let the blood flow return into the lower legs. And then we'll prepare for our next pose, kind of increasing the intensity onto the feet. We're going to tuck the toes, shift the hips back, and you can stay right here. Or if you are able, you can walk the hands back until you are seated upright and sitting right onto the toes. So you're in a hero pose, but the toes are tucked. This is very intense onto the bottoms of the feet and also to the toes. So if you come a little bit more forward, the weight is off of the feet. That will help ease some of the transition here. You can certainly stay forward. If you feel like you can hold it for a bit longer, take yourself upright, maybe take the hands into prayer. We'll stay here for about 20 seconds. Again, I like to use a little bit of a distraction when I'm holding an intense pose like this. I do have residual damage into my left foot due to several broken bones in my toes in the past. So this is very intense for me. While we are here, we can take a block, or if you can reach the side of the mat, that works fine too, but we'll take some lateral stretches. So the right hand down onto a block or the mat, lift the left arm up and over the side, keeping the left hip grounded down. And we'll just take a nice lateral side stretch. So you're getting stretching into the toes, but now all the way down that left side, left armpit. And then let's switch that over as we bring the left hand towards the ground, placing it onto a block or the mat, and lifting the right arm up and over the side. Keep that chest revolve, looking up towards the sky. And then we'll take the hand back down. If you were using a block, maybe set it aside. Very good. And then returning into our hero pose with the toes tucked. From here, we're going to transition to a toe squat. Now you can certainly use the hands and push yourself up onto your toes. That is perfectly fine. If you want to take a little balance challenge, you can either take one knee at a time, or you can try for both knees at once. Oh, see, hard for me as well. Let's try that once more. Wherever you're at, we'll pop up into our toe stand. So now we are balancing on our toes. Remember, always give yourself a break if you need it. This is quite intense. It's a lot of work for the calves and on the way down. So from our toe stand, keep balancing on your toes. Take the hands out in front of you, and we're going to slowly rise up, nice and slow, until we come all the way up to a mountain pose. On our tiptoes, lifting the arms up overhead, reaching, spreading those fingertips up towards the sky. Amazing. From here, let's take the hands and the arms straight out in front of us. Slowly bend the knees. Use a focal point or drishti in front of you so that you maintain your balance. We're going to return to that toe squat. Bring the hands into heart center, into a prayer pose. And now we're going to work on our balance, challenging ourselves, taking a twist, the left elbow to the outside of the right knee for a revolved toe squat, maybe gazing up towards the ceiling or sky if you're outside today. And from here, let's return to our center and then push down with our feet, still balancing on our toes, coming up into a mountain pose, again, reaching the arms up to the sky, stretching it out. From here, take the arms straight out in front of you. We need to go to the other side. We'll slowly lower down into our toe squat. With control, you can always lower the hands and reach for the mat for balance if you need, or have blocks beside you. Take the hands into heart center for prayer. From here, we'll rotate, bringing the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. On an exhale, gazing up towards the sky. On an inhale, slowly return back to heart center. And we rise up very slowly to our mountain position. On our tiptoes, reaching for the sky, staying on your tiptoes. Take the arms out and to the side, kind of like they're at a V. And we're going to balance again, challenging ourselves. Take a slight bend in the knees. Start to hinge at the hip. We're taking a forward fold on our tiptoes. Arms out like little airplane wings. Gazing down at the mat, keeping the back nice and straight, lifting up through those legs, feeling the stretch in the back of the calves. For 3, 2, and 1. To come out, take a very small bend in the knee. Keep the heels lifted if you're able. Take breaks if you need them. Return as you come back to upright. Straighten the legs, lift up to a mountain pose, and then exhale, hands through heart center, lower the heels to the mat for a little break. From here, you can go ahead and walk it out, shift the weight back and forth, and we'll take a very nice stretch. Lift the arms up towards the sky, into your mountain, step the right foot back and behind the left, so you're maybe a foot behind, crossing the legs, a very slight bend in the left knee, and staying on the top of the right foot, we're going to take a stretch into that upper side of the foot. Take a hold of the right wrist with the left hand as we side bend towards the left. Kick the right hip out, rotate the chest up towards the sky. Remember to breathe. Press into the top of the mat with that right foot. So the top of the foot is pushing down, stretching into the top. Feeling everything open up through that right side of the body. On an inhale, let's start to step that right foot in. Release the clasp of the hands. Bend from the hips. We'll take a forward fold. And just pause here in your forward fold. Let the neck hang heavy. Inhale and exhale it out. In our forward fold, let's take the hands underneath the feet so that your feet and the toes are nestled just into your wrists. Not only does this feel good into the bottoms of your feet, you can kind of wiggle the fingers around, but at the same time wiggle the toes and use the toes to massage the inside of the wrists. The weight should be moving forward, so you feel it shifting more into the ball of the foot. As you do so, you'll feel more of a stretch into the back side body. Keeping the back nice and long. And when you're ready, you can release the hands, take them back to the mat. Take a small bend in the knee as you tuck the tailbone and start to roll yourself back up to mountain. Lift the arms up to the sky, spread the fingers out wide. From here, let's step the left foot back behind the right one and come to the top of the left foot. As you take a slight bend in that right knee, catch a hold of that left wrist with the right hand, and we'll side body lean over towards the right. Again, heart is open to the sky, gaze is upward, pressing into that left hip as you give just a nice little pull onto that left hand to encourage the side body opening. Don't forget about the back left foot. That should also be engaging into the mat to activate the muscles and to open up. Lovely. And when you're ready, let's inhale. Step back to mountain. Lift the hands up towards the sky. Exhale. We will forward fold. Release it down. And we'll take another stretch in this forward fold. This time, move the left foot so it's a little bit more towards center line. Take the right foot, step it behind the left. So it's pretty much just on the opposite side of the left foot. And you have this nice X shape with the legs. And from here, lift up to a half lift and then forward fold over the legs. Again, feel the weight shifting more towards the front of the foot, and you'll really feel that more into the back of the Achilles, into the calves. Of course, that is all connected. So if you really start to focus on pushing that weight into the front of the feet, you can adjust the position of the hands if that helps you feel like you're maintaining more of a balance. Inhale here and exhale, relax. On your next inhale, let's walk the hands back towards us. Unravel the legs and recenter yourself to a forward fold. On the next inhale, let's halfway lift. Step the left foot back and behind the right one. So now you have the X on the other side. X marks the spot. We're going to feel it here. And then from your halfway lift, let's start to forward fold, bending over the legs, lifting the tailbone up towards the sky, maybe walking the hands out if that helps you push more weight into the front of the feet. Really push into the ground with your feet, and you feel more activation into the back of the legs. And when you're ready, maybe walk the hands a little bit closer, come into a halfway lift, unravel the legs. So now that they are back to about a half hip width apart, and then forward fold once more over the legs. You should really feel some heat building into the feet and also into the lower portion of the legs here. Slowly take a slight bend in the knee. Begin the tuck of the tailbone, and we start to roll up one vertebra at a time as we come back into our mountain pose. Let's lift the arms up to the sky. Take a great deep breath in and spread the fingers. From here, let's come back onto our tiptoes. Find the balance. Standing up nice and tall, pushing into the mat, and then extending the arms out in front of you so that they are straight out in front of you. We are going to very slowly lower down into a chair pose. Start to bend the knees. Keep reaching with the hands. If it feels better, you can also have them at heart center. Very, very slowly, pausing about halfway down. So we're in a tiptoe chair, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, we're going to continue the descent very slowly until we return back into our toe stand. Wonderful. Now the glutes are rested just above the heels. Again, you can have those blocks next to you or have your hands touching the mat for balance, adjusting the feet if you need to as far as their width apart. Sometimes I need to make these micro adjustments throughout my practice. Just know that that is all dependent on your body and what you need. So feel free to take those movements. We're going to drop from our toe squat to hero and back and do that 3 times. Again, if you want to do that just one knee at a time, or use your hands to assist you, by all means do so, or have the blocks nearby for assistance. So starting from here, we'll go ahead and lower down. Try to do it with control, and then coming back up to our toe stand. That's 1. Lowering down for 2. Up for 2. Last one, down for 3. And then up for 3. Whew, that is a lot, but very good. Good for you for trying. And from here, we're going to reach out with the hands and then just step back into a downward facing dog. This should feel so, so good onto the back of the legs, the toes, and the calves. Feel free to walk out your downward facing dog. If you want, you can take a pause and just take a beat here. Check your breath. Make sure you're not holding on to anything. Keep those inhales and exhales coming. You can shift your hips back and forth like I'm doing. And then when you are ready, let's step that left foot up and in between the hands. Lower the back knee down, but keep the back toes tucked. From here, we're going to take an active movement in our Anjaneyasana. So the hands can come to the mat or to a couple of blocks if you need to bring the earth a little closer. Come to your front tiptoes, okay? And you can use your hands to help you as far as balancing the weight. We will lift that back knee off the ground. Again, the toes are tucked. And we're just going to take some gentle bounces. So the back toes are working. The front ankle is working. The front calf is very active. And now we're also getting a little bit of hip movement into this, because why not? We're here. We're actively working into our feet and our lower body today. You may be amazed that all the work that we've done into our ankles and into our feet, you may feel actually more open into your hips. All of those muscles run connected to each other, so sometimes working a little bit more onto those feet and calves can actually help open up our hips. And we'll just hold this for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, plant the hands to the mat. Let's step back to our downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Exhale it out. And on the next inhale, let's step the right foot forward. Keep the back left toes tucked. Start to come to the tiptoes on the right foot. Use the hands for support and lift that back left knee off of the mat as you take a gentle bounce. Again, adjust the distance so that you are feeling something into the hips. You should feel into the outside left hip flexor. So you may need to adjust the distance between the front foot and the back foot. Again, it's these micro movements, these small changes that make big changes overall. Holding here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then let's push back into our downward dog once more. And just to relax the toes, push the heels into the ground as much as you can. If they are flat on the earth, maybe you can lift the toes up off of the mat. From our down dog, we're going to step the left foot up into the outside of the left hand. The right foot comes to the outside of the right hand, lowering down into our malasana. You can always take a block and sit that underneath your tailbone and use that for your malasana. It's a great place to start while you get used to your yogi squat. And today, again, our focus is into the ankles. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see more clearly. Feel free to come up onto the toes as you're in your yogi squat. We're going to just keep some movement here. And if you feel like you just want to maintain lower down and keep the ankles and the knees turned out, that's totally fine. But start with a little bit of movement. Warm up into those ankles. They should be pretty warm already. But this can feel really good into the hips. Again, that little bit of distraction, that little bit of movement can be very helpful on the mind so that we can retain these poses for a little bit longer. And whenever you are ready to settle into your Malasana and take stillness, bring the hands to prayer, press the elbows into the outside of the knees. At the same time, push the knees into the elbows. Feel that activation into the inner thigh, pressing the outside edge of the feet into the mat, lifting the crown of the head up towards the sky, maybe closing the eyes. And then when you're ready, we're going to just lower ourselves onto the mat. Trust yourself. Just allow yourself to drop down. I'm going to spin around so that I'm facing the top of the mat. And extend your legs out long for staff pose or Dandasana. We'll end with a few movements just to cool down the lower portion of the body because it is probably feeling pretty warm by now. So in your Dandasana, hands can just come to your side for some support and for grounding. Separate the feet out to about hip width, so you're making just a little bit of room. We'll start with some ankle rolls, any direction that you want or that feels good to you. We'll start to rotate in one direction for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's reverse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Fantastic. From here, we're going to do a little kind of a tricky movement for the foot. We're going to do inversions and eversions. So we'll start with taking the outside edge of the feet, and you're going to turn so that the soles of the feet come together. This is the easier portion of the movement. So the outside edge of the foot is reaching more towards the top of the mat. Again, the soles of the feet come together. You're feeling a nice stretch onto the top side of the feet. Return the feet back to their normal position so the soles are facing out. And now we're going to turn so that the inside or the inside edge of the foot is trying to reach for the top of the mat, and the tops of the feet are attempting to reach each other. This is much harder. And then back to neutral. Again, let's bring the soles of the feet together. Return to neutral. And now let's try to take the tops of the feet together, only as far as you can go. And you should feel that stretch even into the front of the shin. Return to neutral one more time. The soles of the feet coming together. Back to neutral. And we'll take that extra tough stretch by bringing the tops of the feet together as much as we can. And then back to neutral. Amazing. Maybe give the legs a little pat out and a little extra encouragement for that work that we just did. From here, we're just going to point and flex the feet. So point the feet, trying to reach for the top edge. Feel the top of the quads engage, even your heels slightly lifting off the ground, and then flex. Bringing the toes as much towards your body as you can, so much that, again, the heels come off of the ground and you feel the entire leg engage. Let's point for 1. Flex for 1. Point for 2. Flex for 2. We're going to 8. Point for 3. Flex for 3. Your lower body should be shaking. Point for 4. So we're engaging those legs so much. Flex. Point for 5. and flex. 3 more. Point for 6 and flex. Almost there. Point for 7 and flex. Point for 8 and flex. Wonderful. Relax the lower body. Here we are going to close with one last little massage. I'll turn around so you can have a little better look. Just come to a nice, comfortable seated position. And then starting with every foot that you would like to start with, cross that foot over just so it's more accessible. We're going to get into the toes, and by doing so, we're going to take each finger and put them in between each toe. Maybe use your other hand to assist yourself if your toes like to really scrunch together like mine do. And then from here, you're going to get in there as much as you can. This can be a little bit kind of a hurts so good kind of a movement or a stretch, but then all we're going to do is just squeeze the hand into the toes. And in doing so, massaging the top of the foot and the bottom of the foot at the same time, maybe using the thumb to work into the arch. And you could stay here for as long as you want. You may notice, as I mentioned before, after doing all that lower leg, calf, and ankle work, you might feel it into the hips. I know that my hips are feeling like they just did quite a workout. When you are ready, go ahead and switch feet, changing the cross of the legs. Again, getting those fingers into the toes, finding that little space, working them in as far as you can get in there. This is my much tighter foot. This is definitely more intense for me on this foot. And just some nice gentle massage to close out the class today. Go ahead and keep massaging your foot. Let the video play out. No need to come and hit the button. But we're going to end on this little foot massage. I really hope that you enjoyed today's class. If you did, please hit that like button below. Hit subscribe. We've got all sorts of videos on this channel. Check out the playlists. Comment below if you have any suggestions or if you have any questions as well. I'll be happy to get back to you. Take care. I hope you have a wonderful day. Make it a good one. Bye.